Welcome to the Artist Detective. Do you know who I am? I am Rembrandt, the Dutch master from the 1600s, who loves to paint portraits. I am your host as we investigate the lives and art of the great artists. Today, let's welcome Grandma Moses, who interestingly had no formal training in art, and yet she became a sensation for her folk art when she was already a grandma. She lived from 1860 to 1961. That's over 100 years. She is from a country called America, but I have never heard of America. Have you? Anyway, let's meet Grandma Moses.
Good morning, children. My name is Anna Mary Robertson Moses, but that is kind of a mouthful, don't you think? So you can call me Grandma Moses. That's what everyone calls me now, for I am almost 100 years old. Now you say it, Grandma Moses.
Grandma Moses.
What a lovely group of children you are. Is this your school? You know, I have so many fond memories of school in my childhood. I had so many adventures with my 9 brothers and sisters on our farm in New York. That was so long ago when we could run all over the forests and hills, and we spent time together washing clothes, picking apples, and making apple butter. We went sledding and ice skating in the winter. My father would bring home paper sometimes, and I loved to draw. I had to use sticks for brushes and berries for paints because we couldn't afford such luxuries as art equipment. I called my early paintings lambscapes. Bah, you know, lambscapes instead of landscapes. And my brothers would make such fun of me. But I guess that's what brothers do, isn't it? Well, I was just a poor farm girl, so by the time I was 12, I had to leave school and start a housekeeping job. So you take advantage of these school years, children. You could say that my housekeeping jobs were my first career. I cooked, cleaned, and sewed for some of the wealthier neighbors. Then, at age 27, I got married to my dear Thomas. We were both farmhands, and we headed south to Virginia, where we had a chance to farm for ourselves in the post-Civil War South during the Reconstruction of the southern states. First, we were tenant farmers, and then we were able to save enough money to buy our own farm. Thomas and I had 10 children together, though sadly, only 5 of them made it past infancy. So my second career was being a wife and a mother while farming. I also made and sold butter and potato chips, which I sold to local groceries while I was raising my children. Thomas and I were married for 40 years before he died. By then, my children were grown and I had so much time on my hands, so I started my third career in art.
I, Georgia O'Keeffe, the famous modern realist, only had one career. I always knew I would be an artist and that I would be famous. I am known for my large, close-up paintings of flowers and New Mexico landscapes. Oui, but because of your family life, you, like I, Berthe Morisot, the Impressionist, were able to bring a woman's touch to your art, like I did with my intimate portraits of domestic life. I wasn't planning on having a career in art, though I enjoyed art my whole life and had made a few paintings along the way.
If I didn't start painting, I would have raised chickens, or I would rent a room in the city someplace and give pancake suppers. Well, my daughter encouraged me to embroider scenes out of yarn as presents for my friends and family. But then, because of my arthritis, it became too painful for my fingers to do my worsted pictures, as I called them. So, my sister suggested I start painting. You have to realize I was already in my 70s. I painted landscapes of country life, old-timey scenes of the New England I grew up in.
I do say, madame, landscapes are my favorite too. I, Thomas Gainsborough, painted portraits with landscapes in England in the 1700s. Did you ever use broccoli as a model to help you paint trees?
I, Andrew Wyeth, also like painting portraits with landscapes of the land and people around me in New England. I paint my life.
Anna, I do like your old-timey scenes. I, Norman Rockwell, prefer illustrating and telling stories with old-timey scenes of American daily life myself.
I'll get an inspiration and I'll start painting and I'll forget everything except how things used to be and how to paint it so people will know how we used to live. No tractors or telephone poles or cars or airplanes or television sets.
I, Roy Lichtenstein, prefer to focus on the modern things of daily life, like airplanes, couches, lamps, brushstrokes, bubblegum wrappers, and comic strips in my larger-than-life pop art paintings with Band-Aid dots.
I used to sell my paintings at the country fair along with my canned fruits and jams. I won a prize for my fruits and jams, but not for my pictures. I also displayed my paintings at the local drugstore for $3 to $5 each. One day, an engineer from New York City, Mr. Louis Caldor, traveled through town and he saw my paintings at the local drugstore. He bought all of them and he said he was going to make me famous. Now, I don't really care about fame and I didn't believe him, but do you know what? He showed my paintings to art dealers. They were understandably hesitant to take a chance on a woman in her 70s who was just starting painting. Not to mention it was World War II. But Mr. Otto Kallier agreed to give me a one-woman show, which we called What a Farm Wife Painted. They called my art folk art. Now, isn't that nice? Folk art, you say it, folk art.
Folk art.
After that, my work got displayed at a Thanksgiving celebration at Gimbel's department store in New York City, and I gave a speech about my fruits and jams. For some reason, the press really liked my speech, and after that, my art was displayed all around America and the world, and famous people started collecting my art, and a greeting card company started printing my paintings on their cards, and they wrote books about me and made movies about me. Now, isn't that silly? So, mothers, I want to remind you that there is a season for everything. Right now, you are being mothers, raising your children, cooking and cleaning, maybe doing some farming and making jam. But there may be a chance later for you to take up painting or music or something you simply don't have time for right now. It's never too late. So if you want to see my art, there's a large collection of my folk art at the Bennington Museum in Bennington, Vermont. Well, I'm sure I've gone on a bit long, but I am almost 100 years old. So let's review about me. Repeat after me. Grandma Moses.
Grandma Moses.
1860 to 1961.
1860 to 1961.
American Grandma, who became a famous painter.
American Grandma, who became a famous painter.
Folk art.
Folk art.
It was so nice to see you today, children.
Thank you for joining us on The Artist Detective. We look forward to seeing you next time when we investigate the lives and art of other great artists, like me and Grandma Moses.